Good morning. It's early. Yeah, but you know that, right? You know that, and I know that. Sometimes the early birds get a TikTok live. Tink, tink, tink. So, I decided to show up for the early birds. I'm an early bird myself, though, what can I say? I also like sleeping in. There's the thing. So let me zoop over here. So, very cool. Good morning, good morning. Yeah, I don't often do a 7 a.m. TikTok live, but I thought, you know what? I bet there are some people who have to get ready for work today, earlier than they'd like to, like earlier than they're up on the weekends. Good morning, LA woman. German maid, Shelley Lynn, nice to see you. So I decided, because of the way my external to you guys, my schedule today is arranged, that I would do an early morning. Kind of, we could wake up together, maybe make a little bit of a plan, plan in your day, and we'll see how it is. I like the fact that, frankly, I was thinking about this the other day, and I don't know about you, but I am really interested in the fact that so much of like decluttering, we talk about decluttering, is habits, routines, and things like that, structure and flexibility and things. And I really get bored when things are too regimented. Like I really liked when I used to work retail and had a flexible schedule back in the day. And I really kind of wilted inside when I got a corporate job and was like a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, 40 hours a week kind of person. Good morning, Laura Gibbon Voorhees and Diana, Marisol and Becky and Evil Duck at 4th of July. So I like to mix it up. I like to offer to you to do things that keep you engaged in what you're doing. And sometimes that can literally be just doing things at different times of the day. Okay, so this TikTok live. Okay, and I love this. We've got a victory. Laura Gibbon Voorhees, a victory yesterday. Hubs asked me to help declutter our work table in the bedroom. Yay! Good. I love it. I love it when folks are learning stuff from hanging out here on TikTok and YouTube and maybe doing a declutter party, or being part of the email group, Destination Decluttered, Beth, Decluttering Life Coach, good morning. I love it even more when you learn these things and you practice these things and somebody notices you're noticing a difference in how you feel. 3 chiclets, very funny. I love that. Good morning to you as well. And also when other people notice, like when you notice how good it starts to feel to be less cluttered, but also you can teach other people how to do it. Yeah. So I love that. You're going to use that table for schoolwork and video setup when it was just gathering stuff, and you found a place for your things. Yeah. See, this is a great thing. Many of us can more easily help other people declutter their stuff. Oh, and there's the victory right there. So Laura Gibbon Voorhees is saying, I'm going to say what we have. Her victory yesterday. Hubs asked me to help declutter our work table in the bedroom so he could use it for schoolwork and video setup. And it was just gathering stuff. I found places for my things, and we got along as we did it. Now, I love that. When you can do a task, something that previously might have got you kind of at loggerheads or, frustrated, arguing, to do something that used to be stressful to the both of you and get along while you're doing it. That is enjoying the journey and not just saying, doesn't matter how we get there as long as we get done. Now, I love that. So congratulations to you and your husband. And congratulations to you for finding homes for your items. As I was saying, sometimes we find it easier to kind of point fingers at other people that we live with, or be able to say, well, that's crap, that's good, that type of thing. We know we can hear the stories. Our stuff tells us stories, and other people's stuff tells them stories as well. But to be able to kind of focus in on your things and practice, because that's what decluttering is, you guys. Decluttering really is practicing finding homes for your stuff and practicing putting them away there. That's a lot of how to stay decluttered. Now, prior to that, you need to, to be decluttered, you need to make sure you don't have as much clutter as you do now. And how do you do that? By deciding what's clutter. And once you decide something's clutter, then taking the actions to get it out of your home and your life, and being sensitive to how the journey is going. Now, again, my name is Beth. I'm a decluttering life coach. And I have this thing hanging above my head right here, not the sword of Damocles, but behind me, which is kind of a visual representation of a road trip. And that reminds me to remind you, because I see it only when I'm on my camera, is think of it as a road trip. Think of going from Clutterville to Declutterville as a journey and a road trip, and make sure that you are enjoying the journey, because sometimes you think it's going to be painful and awful to do it, so you don't declutter. You don't even start to try to begin to declutter, and then it just kind of gets worse, And I love it that Laura was sensitive to her husband. It says, I could tell he was getting anxious at one point, so I suggested, why don't we put on some music? Doing something to reduce the anxiety. 3 Chicklets has a victory yesterday. My adult daughter finally took all her stuff out of my garage. Oh my gosh, that is awesome. That is awesome. And how good of you to be the family storage unit for however long that you did it. And how wonderful of your daughter to recognize that it was her stuff and to come and remove it from where you live so she can deal with her stuff. Yay. Now, for those of you who haven't met me, again, my name is Beth. I'm a decluttering life coach. And my coaching is called Destination Decluttered, road trip, driving metaphor. And what I really find helpful is to have some flexibility, to have some structure, to have kind of a process you work through, but it's also flexible. And I don't necessarily encourage you to figure out what's the perfect number of items to have. To me, it's a number, but it's also a feel. How many pairs of pants I have depends on, what's going to easily fit in my storage. How many times do I rewear them? That type of thing. But I want to share with you, and Berry Girl, I've been away. I have been traveling, because I do. And I also show up at different times of the day. Yeah, so I was away for about 2 weeks. I'm going to be back. And if you're interested, I don't know if you're part of the email group. If you want to be that, it's pretty low key. But what it does is you give me your email address. I do not bombard you. I do not bombard you with emails. But you giving me your email allows me to email you a link to a secret page on my website that has the YouTube Live and TikTok Live schedule. It has, where's mine? I got to finish filling it out from yesterday. It has a free PDF habit tracker that you can print out monthly. I just printed out mine for September, so you get that. And and also we're doing 3 declutter parties this month, September. I'm reminding myself it's September, and the tickets are available for the declutter parties. So all sorts of good stuff you get when you join the email group. And how you do that is destinationdecluttered.com, my website. And the declutter parties are pretty fun. They are. What they really are like is kind of hands-on, because you can listen to me and my videos, because literally, you guys, not necessarily here on TikTok, because I'm not I haven't done kind of one of those short form videos where I'm walking around or talking. I haven't been inspired to do one of those lately because there are so many good ones already on my page. So if you are just finding me here on TikTok and you want to check out, I've got literal years worth of videos here. So scroll down and like what you like. But the Destination Decluttered YouTube channel has over 800, mostly the vast majority hour-long videos, because they're recordings of a TikTok live or a YouTube live. And they're there for you to kind of learn some things. But learning something but not practicing it is good, but getting there in action. So that's what a declutter party is. You buy a ticket, you find out when the party is, you buy a ticket, you show up, it's on Zoom. And other people show up too, so you have accountability. You get to chat with people, unlike when we're here on social media and I'm only kind of the thing of communication. And it can be really fun. It is really fun, and people tend to get a lot done. And also the great thing is that there's immediate kind of feedback. If you're struggling, you can say, hey, I'm struggling. I don't know what to do with this. You can ask me because I'm like the professional. I'm there. But also other people might chime in with ideas as well, so you don't feel so alone. And it's only about maybe an hour and a half, and maybe it's rarely gone. It never goes past 2 hours because I always want to bake in some time for socializing, to meet people, to find out about people, and feel a little bit of connection in a time where you may feel disconnected. So that's what a declutter party is about. If you think it's interesting, you know what? Sign up. Can't hurt, might help is one of my favorite sayings for myself. So it can't hurt. You spend a couple of bucks, you get something done, and then you get to embody and practice, literally moving your body, doing some of these declutter things that you say up in your head you're supposed to do. But it's almost like if your head and your heart do not connect up, your hands will rarely move out of what they do already. Okay? Now, I love this. Berry Girl is saying, I've been watching you a while. I'm decluttering my brain while decluttering my space. And yes, chef's kiss to the both of those. But especially decluttering your brain. Because decluttering your brain means you're getting rid of the thoughts that do not help you. The thoughts that do not get you moving towards the life you love or just staying in the life you love. The things that bring you down. Don't bring me down, Bruce. Right? So to me, one of the great tools to declutter your brain is going to be a simple 50-cent notebook from Staples. Now, I don't know if Staples is still considering this back to school time because I remember what it was like to work retail. And, we were bringing the Christmas stuff out in July. And this was 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago for crying out loud. But an inexpensive lined notebook where you can write your stuff down, you can sort out your thoughts. Because a lot of what you have is like the clutter in your head is like the clutter on a tabletop. It's probably a mishmash of things. And it's really hard to deal with a mishmash as it's mished and mashed, a bunch of things. So what do you do typically? You typically separate out things, okay? You typically separate out things on a table or in your head. And then once you separate them out, and your thoughts are so much easier when you write them down, what's on my mind? What's on my mind? Write it down, and then it's off your mind, but you have a place where you know where it is. Again, kind of like the home for your thoughts, kind of like the home for your, what do I want to say? Your silverware drawer. You've got a home for your items in your house, and when you put them there, you feel better. So getting in the habit of writing things down. You may do this anyway. You probably have a calendar that you use where you write down important dates and times so you don't miss an appointment. You may create shopping lists when you go to the store, or you go out to, as we would say in my family, run errands, right? So you write down things to make it easier for you to remember to get the stuff you want. It is so much easier for me to go to the grocery store with a list than trying to keep it all up here. It's very mentally taxing, an effort to try to remember. You don't have to do that. You just write it down, and suddenly, it feels so much better because you're not using your brain to carry all those thoughts with you. Okay? So there are ways to declutter your home and your head. And both of them will be really helped by getting a notebook. Get one to use. So you're saying, okay, my mother passed at 83. I don't want to leave my possessions for my daughters to clean up. Now, what a wonderful, what a sad thing for your mom to pass. And I bet you had to clean out her stuff. And what a wonderful idea for you to not want to leave that stuff for your daughters when you pass. But don't forget you. Boop. Don't forget that you, when you declutter now, you will feel better living in your home while you're still here. And there will be fewer things for your daughters when you pass. So please, I love it when people see that they get some external, they get a bit of more motivation when they do something for somebody else. But I also do want to introduce that idea of incorporating what do you want? Because that's what decluttering is practicing building your decision-making muscle, one decision at a time, by answering the musical question, do I want this or not? And if the answer is yes, I want it, then I say, okay, where is a place to put this that would be easy for me to find it, easy, that it's going to look good to me, it's going to be easy to find it, easy to use it, and easy to put it away. Because to me, people often say, a lot of people, because I work with people with ADHD quite often, and they will say, what's that word? Just because you say it a lot doesn't mean it's true. Like, out of sight, out of mind. What I will offer is you can have things out of sight. You have evidence in your life of where you have things out of sight, and you still know where they are. And that's because you have become habitually, you've created a connection in your head between thinking of where your silverware is and knowing it's in the silverware drawer. So having a place to put things that also can be restful for your eyes, because your brain has to create an image of everything you see when you look around. That's why it can be exhausting, an overwhelming feeling, and tiring when you look at a lot of stuff. Your eyes and your brain and your physical body benefit from having a place, a calm place to just rest your eyes. Now, I say this and you see that I have all sorts of stuff in my background, but it's stuff that I want. I know that I want it there, and it feels good when I look at it. It's not something that's an overwhelm. So think about that. If we're thinking about decluttering as a journey, notice how far you've come. Notice the skills you have that you currently are using to get yourself to, as I say, destination decluttered. But if you're not there yet, that's okay. Yet is a good word. You're not there. You could say, I'm not there. I'm not decluttered. You add that one little 3-letter word yet, and I'm telling you, that changes things. That opens it up. I'm not there yet, but I'm on my way. How much better does that feel? Noticing the difference in the words you use, that you think, that you speak, that you keep to yourself, but you still say to yourself because you have, voices in your head that talk to yourself all day. The words you use make you feel a certain way. So notice that. What are the words you use yourself? What are the words you read? What are the words you use to describe your situation? I'm overwhelmed. I hear that a lot. Well, overwhelmed to me is a feeling of too much, and clutter tends to be too much. Clutter is not the right amount of stuff for you that feels good. Clutter is what you thought was going to, you didn't realize that having too much could feel kind of blur in the same way as not having enough. Not the same way, but in a similar way to not having enough. So what is enough? Well, if you had enough, you really wouldn't be cluttered up. You have more than enough. You have enough plus another guy, okay? And that can feel really good, especially if you've come from a place where you didn't grow up with a lot, or you're used to having a certain amount. But notice how the quantity and quality of stuff in your house makes you feel. Now, there's that kind of cumulative effect. that I could say. But what decluttering helps you do is kind of hone in on. Instead of being overwhelmed, you focus down. Notice the difference. The word over, kind of I'm in over my head. I'm suffocating. I'm drowning. I feel like overwhelmed, like the things are crawling up, piling up around me. Notice that kind of feeling of suffocation and tightness in your chest. I'm feeling it right now, just talking about it and moving my hands up here, imagining being overwhelmed with, feeling overwhelmed. I don't like that feeling. And if I don't like the feeling, I'm going to change it. So I'm saying I'm overwhelmed and I'm putting my hands right here. You know what I'm going to do right now? Deep breath. And pretend the stuff is not there and move my hands. Instead of feeling surrounded by it, I will calm down my nervous system. There we go. Leslie, she knew rightly. If she wants to get hydrated today, she's our hydration word. So what's a hydration word? It's pretty much a fun little game we've made up, because don't you make up all sorts of fun games? When I am doing a TikTok live or a YouTube live. I tend to use similar words often because I find that they work, and I try to keep things simple. And repetition of a certain thing can help you learn something, absorb something. It's almost like walking down a path. The more you walk in the same place, a path, a groove begins to go. And if you want to get hydrated, pick a word that I use often. I tend to use the word down a lot. Calming down, slowing down, writing down, chunking down, all of that. Every time I say the word down, maybe, take a sip of water, and by the time I'm done here at 8 a.m. Eastern, you're going to be well on your way to running to the bathroom. Yeah. Yes, exactly. And regulating the nervous system. Hell yeah. Very girl, is as important as decluttering the things that no longer serve us. And what I will say to that is, it's not even an either or. It is very beneficial. I try to not say you need to, like you need to do this. It is so much easier to declutter when you have, prior to even beginning the process of decluttering, that you have practiced, you have regulated your nervous system to get going. And much like Laura Gibbon Voorhees found that her husband was getting, anxious, she could feel that he was getting anxious, is throughout the process learning how to regulate your nervous system. She solved it. She dissipated the anxiety by putting on some music, by recognizing, hey, you seem like you're getting stressed out. What can we do to make you feel less stressed out? When you learn how to regulate your nervous system, that helps you declutter the things that no longer serve you. But also, it is an act of decluttering itself. It's saying, I don't want to feel that way. I don't want that item. I want to keep these items, is decluttering in the physical world. But decluttering your nervous system is saying, wait a minute, I haven't used the traffic cop hand in a while. Like, kind of tweet, a little stop. I don't want to feel overwhelmed. I don't want to feel this way. And then you do something. Breathing down, calming down, regulating your nervous system. If you've got an existing practice to do that, but if not, down can help. Breathing down, slowing down, quieting down, a wicked lot of downs. Saying, I don't want to feel that way. I want to feel this way. And what is this way? And I will offer to you one of the hacks, one of the sneaky shortcuts that I use typically, is if I'm feeling a certain way and I don't like it, I try to find out what the opposite is. Okay? So Insight is saying, how do you regulate your nervous system? So what I find to be very helpful is this, and there are so many ways to do it. But one of them, I think, is first recognizing that a dysregulated nervous system, and notice when I even talk about it, is kind of my hands are moving all over the place, is you may not feel good in your body. And physically, and it's not so much like a muscle ache, but it could be because you're clenching. It could be because you're tight in the chest. Maybe you're having a hard time breathing. Your shoulders are hunched over. So notice how it feels, what your particular kind of tells are when you're not feeling good. I find myself, my chest gets tight. I feel like my whole human body is kind of tightening up. and I don't breathe as well. I'm hunched over. I am tight. So what I try to notice is, even in the most easy ways, what can I do the opposite? So I like to use the word down to remind myself. So shoulders down, breathing down. Okay, so insight, what's the opposite of whatever you're doing? Notice shoulders up and down. You know, if I'm feeling tight in my muscles, I like to shake it off like Taylor Swift. Or if you're of an era, you can shake it up like the Cars, you know, or you can shake it up, baby, twist and shout like the Beatles, you know, or you can do the twist like Chubby Checker, you know, moving your body. You can shake your body down to the ground and loosen up whatever, you know. So that's a way of dissipating that energy, but then slowing down and calming down. Even honestly, decluttering your environment helps you feel less dysregulated and more regulated, because it has quieted down your environment. And when I say quieted down your environment, what I mean is, I betcha part of the stress that your clutter causes you is stuff in your house that when you see it, it pops open a folder that says you need to do something about this. You need to do this. You need to pay this bill. You need to put these dishes away. Empty out that cupboard. Do this laundry. Wipe that floor. Go through those pictures. Make that appointment. You know, all this stuff talks to you. When you realize that decluttering helps you do those things so you don't get yelled at anymore anytime you're walking into a room, then that room is just quiet. And you can look around the room and not be triggered. Your nervous system, remains regulated. We're using that phrase, and that you feel calm. You feel good walking around your house. You feel good when you look at an area and you like what you see. Yeah. Now, I love this. This is really interesting. Pinky Silver Chloe says the stuff screams or becomes invisible. There are also other things. So if it's screaming at you, this is what happens. Think about this. Think about it. You've got an item in your house that you notice and it says, do something with me. It's screaming at you. Do something. Pay me. Pay this bill. Pay this bill. Open this envelope. Pay this bill. Put away this laundry. Let's do laundry. That's more fun. Okay? Do this laundry. Do this laundry. Do this laundry. If every time you see that, and you just walk on by like Dionne Warwick, and it's yelling at you and you don't do it, it's going to stop yelling at you. It will, but the laundry will still be there. And that's what we call kind of blindness, clutter blindness, right? So, oh goodness, you know what? Abbott Elementary, you're so right. You are so right. Oh my God, I am interrupting myself because for this regularly scheduled thing. Yeah, this is me being a creature of habit. I said I was going to be on YouTube this morning. My bad. Laura Gibbon Voorhees, you guys, mea culpa. See? I apologize. And you know what? I'll figure out something to do. I'll figure out something. Maybe I'll do a 1 o'clock TikTok and another YouTube today. Okay? I'm glad you found me. Abbott Elementary. Okay? It is a 7 a.m. and I got up and, again, creature of habit, usually doing the TikToks before the YouTubes. So I'm glad you found me. Yes, that one persona. Yay. Yeah, if I'm not one place, I'm probably the other. Okay? Yay, and that one persona. Thank you. Okay. So what we're talking about, and luckily you guys already know, the people who are on the mailing list, and I sent out the wrong place to go, my bad. I'm helping people about regulating their nervous system. Yes. And yes, and YouTube can be temperamental. Okay? So here's the thing. Insight and incognito, saying I walk into a room that's cluttered, and I look around and I see, and I freeze, because that is your nervous system response. And when you freeze, your problem-solving brain, the part of your brain that could come up with some ideas of when to start, that part also freezes in overwhelm. It doesn't know what to do. So what I say to you both, I say to everybody, is part of the decluttering process is recognizing how the clutter affects your nervous system and then doing something about it, noticing it, and then saying, wait a minute, again, stopping, interrupting the overwhelm, saying, wait a minute, let me practice doing something else. You have a habit, for sure, you have a habit of walking in there and feeling a feeling of overwhelm. You can change that feeling by doing something different. Now, I like to use, and Leslie and everybody, get your hydration cups ready. Because what I like to do to help me regulate my nervous system, I call it all the downs, because it just uses the word down a lot, because one word can remind you. I can scan, I can put my hands here, and I can move my body down and just breathe down. As I do this, as I said, it's almost like being underwater and then feeling like I can breathe. And then my hands below my chest, and I can expand my lungs and breathe more. Breathing slowly, slowing down your breathing. Breathing down into the bottom of your lungs. Slowing down your exhale. Shoulders down. You know, we talked about moving your body, shaking your body down to the ground. Doing something instead of sitting in overwhelm. You can, if you feel like you're frozen, do the opposite. Move your body. Don't be, if you're feeling like it's too much and you tend to look up at everything, you're looking at everything. If looking at everything gets you overwhelmed, do the dance called the opposite. Don't look at everything. Look at just a few things. Focus down on a smaller area. If looking at it all gets you overwhelmed, don't do that then. Do something else though. Look at the opposite. This is where my eyes and brain are coming to again. I use a road trip metaphor all the time, and I'm from the East Coast, and I love Palm Springs, California. Let me back up so you can see it. If I were to drive from Pennsylvania to Palm Springs, I look at this map of the United States, I get pretty overwhelmed. That's like a wicked lot of miles. That can be overwhelming. A large number of items, a large number of anything can feel overwhelming. I don't want to feel overwhelmed though. I want to feel excited. Okay, so what I do to get my road trip started is I chunk it down. It's another down, people. I go a mile, a mile, a mile, a mile, a mile. And when I get tired, I stop and I rest. And then I start again. And then I stop. And then I start. And then I stop. And then I start. And I stop. And you know, it's not an exact straight route. You got to use the things. But chunking down, calming down, so much of it. And I hope that there are other people out there that you've maybe heard helping you with decluttering. But to me, if you miss how you feel physically and energetically, and you just try to jump right in, this is where you're going to find you stop and run away when things get too difficult. Okay? So yeah. Yes, do the opposite. Seriously, it's going to help you so well. Even when you are trying to define, Kara's Garden, nice to see you. You know? Yes, exactly. And I like it. She says tragic analogy. I know she meant traffic analogy coming. And this is why I use the words of driving. If you get in a traffic jam, you find an alternate route. Say to yourself, you know what? Say to yourself, what would I do if I was driving my car? Okay? Yes, I know. I messed up, Ellen, but hey, I'm gonna stop what I'm doing right now. And that one persona is going excuse me, I can't even speak. Going through a fertility procedure today, and she would appreciate prayers, good vibes, whatever you have to offer. So everybody, send some good vibes to that one persona, okay? I am sending you the good vibes, my dear. Best of luck with it all right? And know that whatever happens, you are loved, okay? So, yeah. Okay, so Denise is saying, after we pause for that lovely moment, okay, yeah. What if you're always waiting to sell stuff, trying to recoup so much waste? So here's a fun thing, Denise. I would ask you, because I've sold stuff before. I've bought stuff and sold stuff, both kind of personally and professionally. I used to sell mid-century modern things. I used to sell on eBay and in real life, so I know that feeling. I would ask you, because I'm a decluttering life coach, why are you always waiting to sell the stuff? Why are you always waiting? Are you selling any of it? And I don't mean this. And notice how words are an important part, but also tone, how you talk to yourself and how you talk to others and how others talk to you. Are you selling anything? No judgment, just curiosity. Judgment will shut you down. Curiosity will open you up. The opposite, talking about opposites. So I'm just curious, are you selling stuff? I hope so. If it's something you want to do, I hope you're doing it. Okay? Yeah. And if not, get curious. Okay? Get curious. Why am I not selling this stuff? And if you're curious, and notice what happens, why am I not selling this stuff, ends with a question mark. That is a question. And a question, the opposite of question is an answer. So listen for your answer. And I would say write it down. Write it down so you don't forget it. When you say to yourself, why am I not selling this stuff? Write down the answer, because there is gold in our hills, okay? Okay? Dance costumes are seasonal, so you need to wait till now. I have them listed. Okay. Now notice, Denise, I think it's great that you are selling the dance costumes. I had a one-on-one, I do one-on-one coaching, a one-on-one client that owned her own dance studio, and she had a ton of costumes. And this is a great time to sell them, both for professional, if people want to buy your costume collections for their upcoming, what do you call that, like recitals and stuff, but also, frankly, Halloween's coming up. But notice what you're doing too. Dance costume are seasonal, you need to wait till now. Good. But I have so much. Notice where the overwhelm of quantity will shut you down. Okay? Will shut you down. So, again, the opposite of overwhelm is going to be down. Okay? Focus down on just posting one foot in front of the other. You look up, you've got a lot, you pull one thing from that lot, you do something with it. The next time you look up at that pile of costumes, you will have one fewer in that pile that need to be sold. Yeah. Also, sometimes, depending upon whether things sell or not, it may help you to get to your destination of decluttered to give some things away. You know, Kara's Garden she says, list it or donate. Yeah. Because the destination isn't necessarily, unless this is your livelihood, your true livelihood, then your destination is not decluttering my home. It is making a profit from my business. And that's a different thing. But how quickly do you want to get to your destination? It will take you longer to get to be decluttered if you decide to sell items. It's a fact. However, if you're cool with taking longer to do it and making money along the way, then go for it. You know? Jojo says, I just donate 99% of my stuff. Right. So I have sold things in the past. And at this point in my life, I have sold or kept all the good stuff that I want, or given it away to a place that I know is going to sell it and the money is going to go to a good thing. So I offer to you, it probably is going to be a combo, you know? But what I recommend to everybody is when you say to yourself, why am I not doing the thing I say I want to do? Part of me says I want to do it, but if my body is not doing it, why? And why has a question mark. And I say to yourself, write down the answer to that question and learn from it. Because why you're not doing one thing probably has something to do with one thing you haven't done a lot. Excuse me, that's a really bad sentence. If you're not doing one thing, that same reason may be why you're not doing other things. Now, I will share with you, I think a lot of why we don't do things is fear. Fear of all sorts of things. Fear of getting in trouble. fear of losing money, fear of being made fun of. All those like little kid but core human things. Feelings of being disconnected, fear of forgetting somebody because they gave you that gift, and fear of somebody being mad at you. Fear. Look for the fear. What are you afraid of? Why are you afraid to donate that one item? Not all of it. One size does not fit all here. But I would say behind any lack of action, there is a bit of fear. Like I am not, this is going to be the second day. I got some like arm weights, right? Why haven't I picked them up before? The fear of doing it wrong and hurting myself, right? The fear of doing the exercises and it won't make a difference. The fear of mortality, that wait, I used to not have to do this to make my arms feel better, but now I have to do things like this. The fear that I'm getting older, yeah. And be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. You may initially throw up some really mean things that you say to yourself. Then get them out of you. They're like poison, so throw them up. Get them onto paper. So you remember not to say that to yourself again. Yeah. In Love Bears All Gifts, yeah. My sell pile was just sitting. Showed the pile to the friends and family. I was able to reduce it by half. Yeah. Hey, going to the people does anybody want this stuff? We have a number of email groups, my husband and I, not email groups, like text groups. And one of our local ones with a bunch of our friends on it, people will often post something like, we don't want these chairs anymore. Does anybody want them? I don't need this rice cooker. Does anybody want it? So it can be very easy, much easier, much less stressful to offer your things to people you know versus offering them to strangers. Yeah. So I offer to you, quiet down your nervous system enough so you're out of fight or flight. That will open up your brain to be like, whew, we're not in danger. Okay, now my creative brain, my answering, my problem-solving brain, the part of you that's going to help you get decluttered is now open for business. And it's available now to answer these questions. When you think that there's a threat of danger, if you're in fear of something, your brain is going to be like, I can't answer that question right now. I have to survive. And isn't it kind of interesting that like that kind of fight or flight that was initially, is ingrained in every single human being was really to stop us from, true acts of, violence and death. And yet now we've been conditioned to have that response to so many things in the world. That kind of spike of ingredients inside you that makes you feel that rush of adrenaline and cortisol and all that, that's supposed to help you literally if you're in true danger. Sometimes you get that just by walking in your living room, right? Your living room. Yeah. And notice Hannah says, yes, I offered to family and friends first. I had to overcome the embarrassment of having too many things purchased. So notice the feeling of embarrassment, that unhelpful feeling was stopping you, and you had to get over it or, calm it down enough to then allow the change to happen. Yeah. So that's what it's about. A lot of it is decluttering your brain and learning what's going on kind of in this machine that you're walking around the world in. Your brain, your head, and your heart move your hands like a robot. Yeah. AC Wild, I know it's early and I feel bad because I told people I was going to be on YouTube this morning and I did TikTok instead because I was half awake when I got up this morning. I will change the schedule and I will show up at 1 p.m. on YouTube. Okay? So please, my name is Beth. I'm a decluttering life coach. This is how I do it. This is how I do it. Not necessarily this early in the morning, though, I will tell you. I'm East Coast, so if you want to know my schedule, There we go. Okay. Got that stuff going on. I will offer to you. I show up at different times of the day on different platforms, but there's a schedule to it. It's not random, it's specific. And if you want to know when I'm showing up, and yes, I'm saying check the schedule and then I show up today wrong, you know what that means? That means that I am definitely not AI generated. That this is not an automatic thing. This is organic. This is what happens to people, you know? And notice how I smile and shrug, and you guys are saying no big deal, so we don't make a big deal of it. Yeah, so thank you. Yeah, good morning, Anne. Nice to see you. So this is kind of a fun time, I think, for decluttering. A fun time of year to do it, because many of us, at least I'll speak for myself, I won't speak for you, but I love that kind of goofing off vacation feeling that summer has, even if you work throughout the summer. There's a different vibe for me anyway in the summer. September and the cooler months are a little bit more of the back to school season, you know? And I love it. German made. Yeah, creatures of habit. This was an interesting thing. So back to school, I was on a walk yesterday and I thought of that phrase, creatures of habit. First of all, we are all creatures. Think about any creature you are a caretaker of, a pet, a child, and a husband. Think of how creatures of habit, what are the habits you have? And are the habits you have helping you or hindering you? You know? Yeah. Okay. So, so AC Wild, you're saying your assistance seems to focus on the individual. It does. Many of my problems stem from social concerns. Okay, feel free to elaborate. I'm interested in what you're saying. What I say, though, is even social concerns are a society is just a bunch of individuals. What I find very helpful is to think of the fact that if you even this to me sometimes is almost when I think of my life coaching, like the decluttering is like the Trojan horse, and the life coaching part of it is what gets sneaked in while you're doing something that looks pretty superficial, like I want my house to be less cluttered, is very kind of on the surface. But what you learn in order to get yourself started to do something is you learn to regulate your nervous system, to get out of fight or flight, to also then be able to do something that's important to you, to learn how to show up for things that are important to you. I have become a better contributor to my society, donating money, donating time, protesting what I protest, voting, getting others to do so, making signs for to become the change that I want to see in the world. I have only been able to do this really effectively since I have calmed down my nervous system, quieted down that fearful voice, and started doing these things. And it's the same concept that applies to decluttering. Yeah. Okay. So you say, I have nested in stuff because of profound discrimination. Okay. So you feel comfortable in your nest. Yeah. I hope you feel comfortable in your nest. I do. So I offer to you, your nest can feel comfortable. I hope your nest is comfortable. So if you're nesting because of discrimination, then make sure your nest is filled with all sorts of good stuff, that you don't have any crap in your nest. You know? Yeah. Yep. Okay, so if you're in a small town that targets people, okay, what I offer to you then, and this is serious, yeah, I want my nest unnested. Decluttering helps you move away from a place you don't want to live anymore. Decluttering allows you to say to yourself, what do I want? And one of your answers is what I don't want. I want to live somewhere other than this little town. You know? And it gives you the courage, because when you say, what do I want? And you've practiced making that happen in the confines of your home, it builds your courage and your muscles to say, I know how to get out of this situation. I know how to change what I don't like in my home. And that concept has worked in my home. Therefore, the same concept will work elsewhere. Okay? So if you want your nest unnested, then yeah, you can do it. You can do it. Do not live a life where you feel like you can't do what you want. And sometimes you may not be able to change where you live. It's kind of like me. Like I am blue. I am blue in a red state. I am in a blue dot in a red state. I can continue helping the people I want to be in charge. But am I going to change all those other counties? Probably not. But I can show up to do what I can do. I can rail against it, but instead of just yelling at the fact that it's turning colder, I can move my body to where the weather is warmer, ideally, when it gets cold here. Okay? I grew up in Massachusetts, but I've lived in Pennsylvania for the last 20 years. Yeah. Yeah. You can hear the Mass in my voice, but I can also say hoagie and Wawa and water ice like nobody's business. Now, Kara mentions, pivoting. Pivoting, yes. Sometimes we focus on our own stuff, and other times we focus on other things. Being able to come back to stuff. So Kara says, I've had to pivot the last few weeks. She's been taking care of her friends, dad and garden. Taking time for me amidst the chaos. So take some time for you. Even in this chaotic world, it is an act of power to pull your energy and focus away from the people who are trying to make you fearful and into fight and flight, and to say, no, I don't buy that. No, I refuse to feel that way anymore. I'm not going to feel that way. I'm going to feel this way. So I just offer that learning how to regulate your nervous system will help you declutter your home. It will help you declutter your life. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. And notice, Anne, like shit's going to happen, people. Life is going to happen. Life is what happens when you make other plans. Kara she was on a roll. Nobody expects somebody to fall and break a hip. Nobody expects that suddenly somebody broke a hip and you're trying to help a friend and then help a friend's dad. And then the next thing you know, you are spending your time and energy not on the stuff you want to have been, but you focused your time and energy on other things. This will happen. There is never that kind of perfect scenario where all I need is an entire month and I could clean my house. Like life will happen. Be okay with that. Focus your time and energy on the things that are important. And sometimes those things pop up out of nowhere. Alrighty. So Lasardo says, and Anne says, I almost had a handle on my clutter. No, you have a handle on your clutter. That handle will be there when you go back to your own stuff. But then my mom's house sold. We needed to empty it. And the great thing? So a few truckloads came home with me. Guess what, Anne? You are in so much better of a shape to deal with that mom stuff in your home now than you have been before. You have built your decluttering muscle. You know how to declutter, and you have a better idea of what you want in your room, your house, and what you don't. So temporarily, yes. But you got this. I have seen your videos. You have chimed in. You are making decisions, and you will continue to do so by saying, what do I want of mom's stuff? Even though it's temporarily at my home right now, what do I want? And if I don't want it, what's a way to get rid of it? You have been prepping yourself for this thing. And so you also have support. You do. You have your community you can reach out to and share some things with people. You have us here if you get stuck and overwhelmed, or you just want to hang out and be like, you know what? I'm just going to kick up my feet and revel in the fact that I'm exhausted from emptying my mom's house. But you are at you got it going on. Okay? Now, Lasardo is saying, and I'm watching the time because it's 7:55. We've got about 5 minutes left. My name is Beth, Decluttering Life Coach, apologizing to the people who thought I was going to be on YouTube this morning. I will do the 1 o'clock TikTok. I will save that one. At least half of my schedule will be right. Lasardo saying, I'm leaving for 4 months tomorrow. From Phoenix, from Salt Lake City, everybody off. I have completely overpacked. Help. Okay. 4 months is a long time. So I can understand why you had the fear of, what if I need this? What if I need that? What if I need this? How about this, Lizardo? If you've overpacked, one of the ways, excuse me, TikTok's making me do something. One of the things that I have found very helpful when I have been packed and felt like maybe I have too much is you won't know if you've overpacked or not until you're in Phoenix. You won't know if you're going to use all those things until you're there. So what I offer to you is, while you're there for those 4 months, notice what you brought with you that you're not wearing or using, and consider donating that stuff when you're in Phoenix. Find a place when you're in Phoenix. So don't worry about overpacking. How do you know? You may actually have the exact perfect amount of items for that 4 months, even though it may feel like overpacking. But notice the fear of, what if I need this and I don't have it, may have caused you to throw a few more things into the suitcase. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. And so I offer to you, you can take a few things out. I brought a small suitcase for our 2-week thing, and I even brought too many things, and I donated a t-shirt that I kept on trying on. I'm like, no, I don't like this. I have donated stuff when I've been on a trip. I have left shoes behind. I have left clothes. I have donated things. So think about that. Now, AC Wild, I want to address this. You're saying, sorry to say this, Beth, but regulating my nervous system does not stop the hate here. No, it may not, but you know what it does? It gives you the courage to get out of a situation that you don't want to be in. Yeah, you may not change your community, so don't try. Don't try to change the weather. Move to where you feel better, because this is about you. This is about you. You can try to change people. They may not want to be changed. But regulating your nervous system gets you out of fight or flight, and it gets you to be in that brain zone of active steps where you can say, I don't want this anymore, and I'm going to do something about it to change my scenario. Okay? That's what I truly believe. That when you feel empowered, when you feel not afraid, but you feel courageous, when you feel like I can do something to change this thing, it may not be about changing other people. Do you know how hard it is to change yourself? Yes, you do, because we all change it. It is impossible to change other people, especially people who don't want to be changed. So practice on yourself. Practice on yourself. Okay? Yeah. And Danielle, you didn't get as much done as you wanted to, but notice how we can rearrange these words. I didn't get as much done as I wanted to, but man, did I get a lot of good stuff done. I didn't drive as far as I wanted, but man, I am closer to my destination than ever before. Yes. Okay. Alrighty. There we go. Leslie just went on vacation to Rhode Island. Did that on purpose for a Rhode Island vacation. A nice little bag to donate before going home. Yeah. Yes, and also thinking, if I don't have this, I can buy it. I can get it somewhere, you know? Yep. So, yeah. Really changing your way, changing your perspective. If you've always been looking at things from this direction, you only see it from that direction. But when you realize there's a different direction to look for it, yeah. And we're all here, and we're all just trying to make it through this thing called life before we die. And to me, it's making a life that when you're on your deathbed, you say, I am proud of what I did. I'm not ashamed. I am proud of how courageous I was to get out of that bad relationship, to move to a town where I feel safety and community and connected. I feel proud of myself for doing something that fear was trying to stop me from doing, that I was scared to do, but I got myself calmed down enough that I could take the courageous step towards the life I want. Maybe if that means moving, I was courageous enough to move away from a place I didn't want to. So we're all on this journey together, and each one of us is getting help and helping, because we are a community here. Okay? And it is not a hierarchy. This is why I have the email group, and we've got the Pen Pal Club for people who want to connect. And speaking of, it's so funny, I'm looking up to see what time it is. It's 8 o'clock and I got to run. I'm seeing a little sign that says good connection, good connection. And I know that's probably has to do with my Wi-Fi, but I will share with you that there are good connections here. There are good connections here. So you will absorb the things that you are meant to absorb in the time that's right for you. Okay? So I offer to you, there's good stuff happening here. Let's be part of the good stuff. Okay? Because there's good people in this world and we are them. Okay? Now I'm going to scoot now, but I promise. Here, I'm looking at the schedule. If you want to know what the schedule is, and I promise to be more aware of it myself, I was just a 6:45 a.m. creature of habit. DestinationDecluttered.com is my website. Signing up for the email group will get you access to this page. A 1 p.m. TikTok. I will show back up on TikTok, okay? And then maybe I'll do a pop-up YouTube tonight. We'll see, okay? But we've got some other stuff, all right? You guys rock, okay? I'll see you at 1 p.m. again here on TikTok. Why the hell not, all right?